You'll also see disclosures talking about COVID, which are pretty obvious. As I'm sure you all know, you've got a PPP loan for about $660,000. A lot of the other bundled community clubs like you guys are structured avail themselves of that program as well. And obviously, we're still working through the various government packages to see what's the best thing to do to help the club at large going forward. But all that put together, your balance sheet's strong, your positive working capital, over $1 million in the capital improvement, over 1.3 in the repairs and replacements fund. Your net assets or fund balances went up by almost $250,000, and your operating fund finished about $92,000 positive on about $6.9 million of revenue. So pretty much break even. That's all the history. I think you normally like to hear, I think, what we're seeing elsewhere, and especially, Donald, I'm guessing this, given what we're all dealing with here, it was nice to pull into your parking lot and see all the cars there, and I was like, they better all be on the golf course. I'm not going in there if they're in here. But obviously, it's a bizarre thing to say, but I think I finally saw the headline in the Wall Street Journal last week, and we've been saying this for about a year, that COVID's the best thing to happen to golf since Tiger Woods first showed up on the scene, which is kind of a strange thing, but we're hearing about it all over the place. I was telling Donald I was in Tampa on Thursday at a club that 18 holes, and they're just trying to figure out how to get people through the course. It's just incredible, and obviously, you guys have voted to do some pretty big capital projects, and that hasn't stopped at all. You had that brief pause when we weren't sure we wanted people on the premises, contractors, but after we kind of got things figured out, the clubs have been certainly moving ahead, including clubs like yourselves with significant capital improvements. And I think a lot of the things that you're going to be doing, obviously the golf course, but we're seeing a lot more put into the outdoor dining, things like that. Those are the things that obviously your food and beverage results are greatly impacted by what happened. But the more outdoor dining you have, that obviously is great ability to continue to drive the results. The other thing, and again, we were just chatting at the start of the meeting, Donald was saying, obviously, getting your tenants this year. Certainly that's a big challenge, right, with that. But again, hopefully the residents get to use the facilities that are open. The other thing we're hearing from clubs, again, in terms of food and beverage, things like that, it depends where your homeowners come from. If you've got seasonal residents that are coming from Canada, well, they're not, right? They're just not coming. And then foreign labor, and while it might not be a big deal for you guys directly, it's a huge deal for a lot of the big clubs, not only in this coast, but on the other coast of Florida. They cannot get all those foreign labor into the country from the UK, Ireland. They're getting them in from South Africa, I just heard, but the bulk of them come from the UK, and those lockdowns and travel restrictions are very much still in place. So that's going to create a demand and a war for personnel everywhere across the state. So it's something that it's going to touch us somehow, because all of those big clubs on the east coast of Florida have accommodations and lodging set up for those people coming from overseas. So it's still there. They still have it. So what we've seen is they're now marketing to people all over the state of Florida, to try and pull people from other parts of the state. So certainly that challenge isn't going to go away. But again, I think your balance sheet leaves you in a great place to tackle what's coming. It's been a pleasure to work with your team as it has, from the board, the committees, and obviously management. And I certainly just wish you all well. I hope you're all of you that know me, stay safe. I hope you're well. And with that, I will stop talking and put my mask back on. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Phil. And beyond the audit, I want to say to Phil that RSM has been extremely valuable in helping us through the PPP loan process and the employee retention credit. So they've been real partners in helping us negotiate this entire thing. And we deeply appreciate your help and advice. Thank you much. Let me move on to my report for the year. Once again, I want to welcome you to this annual meeting of our association. I'm Bill Cornetta, president of your board. And this has been a year in the history of Foxfire unlike any other that we've experienced. The COVID-19 pandemic has really dominated our minds and our actions. Fortunately, the common sense of our members, the vigilance of our operations team, and the guidance of our medical advisory committee has served to keep Foxfire safe and with relatively few cases. Members and staff have observed safe social distancing. We've avoided large indoor gatherings, and people have been washing their hands frequently. Our operations team split work groups to reduce the risk of spread among our employees. They sanitized the surfaces frequently, instituted takeout food service, allowed single rider carts on the golf course, eliminated shotgun starts for our golf tournaments. We increased the ventilation in the clubhouse and reduced capacity for indoor gatherings while encouraging outdoor socializing and dining. As Mr. Newman mentioned earlier this year on April 30th, we received a $660,224 loan from the Small Business Administration under the Payroll Protection Program. Shortly thereafter, we established a PPP ad hoc committee to assist Pam in monitoring the use of those funds so as to ensure that the loan would be converted to a grant. All that documentation is in place. The funds were used as intended, and we are fully confident that this loan will be converted to a grant sometime in the next few months. On other fronts, we implemented our new Comcast contract, which began in April of 2020, reducing the cost of Comcast services for many of our members and expanding the scope of services to many other members. One point to note is that the free installation of the Comcast equipment has been extended until March 31st. So if you have not had the equipment installed at this point, you've got till then to get Comcast to do it at no charge. We undertook an extensive review of our governing documents, and members in their wisdom voted to bring the documents into compliance with Florida statutes, but rejected a number of other suggested changes. Our main community pool was completely refurbished, guided by a subcommittee of the Strategic Planning Committee, and that project came in on time and on budget. We made a number of upgrades to the golf course this year. The slopes of Silver 5 and 8 greens were softened to enhance playability. Lake banks on Silver 5 and 8 and Red Tree were repaired. And there are plans in place to bulkhead the Red 9, Blue 9 green complex. And we also made some minor improvements to the driving range. Of note is that the cultural practices on the golf course were thoroughly inspected by the Florida Department of Agriculture and determined to be environmentally safe and to meet all of their standards. So I want to congratulate Jonathan and his staff for their attention to details and attention to the safety of their employees and members. We instituted a legacy fund, giving members who wish to do so the opportunity to make major gifts for the benefit of Foxfire, and a number of members have already expressed an interest in doing so. After 7 years of debate and multiple iterations, the Strategic Planning Committee, along with the Green Finance and Communications Committee, developed a coherent master plan for the golf course and amenities, which was approved by 61% of all members and 69% of voting members in a vote in which 91% of all of our members participated. Work on the golf course, the irrigation and regrassing, is scheduled to begin in March and hopefully wrap up in November. When the tennis, bocce, and other components of the plan will be completed depends largely on county approval of our site development plan amendment and the issuing of county permits. We don't expect final approval of our site development plan until probably July at the earliest. It's a process of going back and forth, and each back and forth takes 30 or more days. So that's our best estimate as to when we'll get the site plan approval. The development and approval of this master plan was the result of the hard work of a great many people, most especially the strategic planning, Green, Finance, and Communications committees, Donald Shea and Pam Cannon, and over the years, a number of different boards. This was the cumulative effort of a lot of work on the part of a lot of people. Going forward, we have formed a construction committee composed of talented members of our community who will oversee the many components of the master plan, both golf course and the amenities. At this moment, we're early in the process of permitting, and we will make our first submission of the site development plan to the county sometime in the next few weeks. We have a finance working group on the construction committee to monitor spending, and we have a communications working group to keep members factually informed as we go along. I want to both congratulate and thank Sherry Straka and John Hauk, two of our board members who are coming off the board. Both were very dedicated, determined, and hardworking board members, and they contributed to moving Foxfire towards a bright future. And I hope all members will take the opportunity to thank both of them for their service to Foxfire. Finally, I want to thank Linda Bavigano and Stella Brown in the administration office for all they do to help members and the board. We could not operate successfully without them. And I want to thank the entire operations team and all employees for their dedicated service to Foxfire and its members. I personally am very optimistic about the future of our wonderful Foxfire community. The improvements about to take place will secure our position as a highly desirable community in which to invest and live. And now I'll turn the meeting over to Jonathan Vincent, our golf course superintendent, who will report on the golf course. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fernandez. You can only see me here about like this once anyway. Only during the annual meeting. Good morning and happy pre-Valentine's Day to everybody. Wow, this past year was tough and hectic for us and for everyone. We were fortunate enough to continue working and provide our members the best course possible, while we're always promoting the safety of our members and staff. What we did, we always followed the CDC guidelines. When it came to social distancing, wearing masks, washing hands, and other preventative measures, we also did not allow our staff to use the break room to avoid big groups together. We were also vigilant in sanitizing and disinfecting all common touch surfaces. The golf course maintenance staff is incredibly grateful to the members for allowing us to work through the pandemic. Thank you for following the course signage such as internet signs, which help alleviate the compaction and stress of the rough, for filling in divots on the tees and fairways, and for fixing ball bars on the green. With the fair weather we have right now, we will see some growth, and this will possibly help the fairways to be more receptive. This coming Thursday, we will start spraying the new line with herbicide. Within a week to 10 days after the application, you will start noticing the grass to die and turn brown. Before the second application, we will apply fertilizer to boost the growth of any grass that remains green. And last application of herbicide is to ensure 100% eradication of the existing turf. Everything will be sprayed wall to wall except the greens and the brand new par 3 tees. This process will be repeated for each 9 holes to be closed. During this time, we will have some employees that will work with the irrigation company. Also, we'll be focusing our efforts in cleaning the native areas and exotic eradication. By the time we finish the golf course project, you will be able to see that our new turf bimini will be far more superior than we currently have. We will all have to thin some of the most shaded areas on the course, because no matter what kind of grass you put, it will not do well in the shade. And lastly, we were under budget for this year, so that's great. Again, thank you for your continued support in the golf course and for the betterment of the community. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me anytime. And again, thank you for having me as your golf course superintendent. You can only see me this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Next, we'll hear from Steve Richardson, our head golf professional.
Thank you, Dr. Cornetta. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Another beautiful day in Naples. I'm just going to do a summary of our golf operation year to date. I'll start with our rounds of golf year to date, October to January for 2019 and 2020 were 24,212. And for 2021, October to January, we were 24,799 during that period. So obviously we've had a little increase. The golf industry has exploded since last March and continues to be in a growing trend, which is great. Rounds of golf are up on a national level at about 19 or 20%. And I do report our rounds to the National Golf Foundation on a monthly basis. And then we also receive reports on the golf industry. It's really awesome to see more players in the game. I mean, that's what we like. We want to keep them in the game also. You know, and down here in Southwest Florida, golf's a way of life. And I can attest to that. I've been here living in this town for 30 years. So Now that I have my Florida accent, I feel at home. So I'm gonna go into my financials, which obviously last year started, it was tough, but we did okay coming out last year. So going into this year, our card fees are down 22,326 compared to budget. We did not have any reciprocal play in October, which didn't help. And in 2019 and 2020, we did do 346 reciprocal rounds. So that had a little impact. Our tenant fees are down $14,453 compared to budget. And I have a little highlight here, and all I have to say is COVID-19 had a major impact on that. Our guest fees are up $5,211 compared to budget, which is nice to see. Our merchandise sales are up $16,449 compared to budget. And what can I say? Mary Linda, she's been a major factor with clothing, accessories, special orders, etc. She is just a joy to work with. She's a pleasure to be around. She's a beautiful woman and a person, and we are very, very lucky to have her here. We did introduce TrackMan, our swing analysis machine was introduced this year, and Zach and Gary, they've been engaged. They're doing a fantastic job, and actually it's leading to some more increased golf club sales already, and it's providing our golfers with some information to help with their game improvement. For our club tournaments, they have been pretty well attended this year, considering the effects of COVID-19. I'll just do a little rundown of some of our events. Our total in players were, for the member, we were a little light in October, 98. Halloween, we were 132. Our Santa Claus tournament was 176. Our member times 4 were 217. We did a winter series event that we replaced one of our member guests with. We had 114. Our Valentine's tournament was 158. So those are just pretty good numbers considering what we're up against. Our 9-hole events have been growing also for our club tournaments. You know, we've had a few times where we couldn't do a 9-hole because we didn't have enough participation. We're getting anywhere from 20 to 32 players for our 9-hole. Our par 3s and breakfast scrambles have been just really, really well received. 149, 114, 155. So again, they're well received, and I'm glad to see that it gets people out and playing the game still, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback from it. We do have a few winter series events in place the rest of the way, just to take the place of some events that have been canceled. For our golf programs, obviously our clinics are still well attended. Our one-on-one teaching is always fun to do, and we love to help you, so please come see us. We want to help your golf game. That's what we do. For other golf programs, we've been involved with US Kids and junior golf and the high schools the last X amount of years. And since last year, it's been very limited or non-existent. So we're hoping as we go forward, we can get more involved if they have these events. Going forward for me, I will provide an operations summary to the board of directors and the finance committee for the golf shop from May to October of 2020 and 2021. And then I will have a special reciprocal list for the membership from mid-April to October to help out Foxfire during our renovations. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to call on us. And thank you very much for all of your support for the golf staff and definitely having me as your head golf professional. Thank you very much.
Now we'll hear from our general manager, Donald Shea.
Thank you, Dr. Cornetta. Good morning and welcome to all. Before I get started into my full report, the first thing I'm going to give you is the latest update that we received from NCH, Naples Community Hospital, with regard to COVID-19. This was as of yesterday, February 12th. NCH has sent a total of 61,000 specimens for testing. The COVID-19 positivity rate for the last 7 days at NCH stands at 4.96%, while the 14-day rate for Collier County is at 7.5%. NCH is currently treating 49 patients who have tested positive for COVID-19. That is 3 less than reported in their last update. NCH discharged 4 patients yesterday for a total of 2,138 COVID-19 inpatients discharged since the onset of the pandemic. And lastly, there has been a total of 34 COVID positive pediatric patients admitted to NCH since the onset of the pandemic. NCH admitted 0 pediatric COVID positive patients since their last update as well. So COVID's had its impact for sure on all of us, and I think that we're in a great place in Southwest Florida and in the Foxbury community. But dovetailing on what Dr. Cornetta and Stephen and John have said, there's been some changes to our operations. I'm going to do a few highlights in each operation, first and foremost. As Stephen mentioned, golf, we developed and promoted the new summer series and winter series golf events, along with our par 3 golf tournaments. 9 and Dine has a new meaning at Foxfire, and our members seem to love it. For food and beverage, outdoor casual dining has taken hold at Foxfire and has been very successful. We plan to carry this success forward with our planned upgrades and alterations to the clubhouse, grill room, and associated amenities. Our social events have moved outdoors for the most part. Trivia has limited seating, but is still just as enjoyable. And these changes are helping us develop new ways to operate now and in the future. What we found is that tea time golf events create efficiencies in staffing needs for golf and food and beverage. Also, there is less congestion at the buffet line and more parking for vehicles. We've had no overflow parking this year, and we've had great participation in our events and open play. One of the keys here is that we can use this justification of no overflow parking when we submit for our administrative parking reduction as part of our site development plan approval process with Collier County. So we can use that to our advantage, not only the other advantages that it's proved to have on our budget and our ability to operate. Limiting trivia attendance to 120 to 150 people in future years will allow Foxfire to continue serving meals instead of having buffets. It will also create a balance on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights during season, which will make both nights fun and equally successful. The other thing is that with the serving, we have a lot less waste when it comes to food. As far as administration is concerned, our team has had a lot of irons in the fire. PPP, the payroll protection, ERC, COVID-19 navigation, changing 401k plan providers and insurance carriers in 2020, on top of the ever-changing guidance from the various divisions and agencies, both state and federal, definitely has our staff, committees, and board members on our tippy toes. Fortunately, we have people, both members and staff, that care, are committed, have the expertise, and are willing to go the extra mile to do things right. And for that, we should all be thankful. As far as our golf course maintenance and common ground care, John and his staff continue to maintain the best greens in Southwest Florida. Our new irrigation system and Bimini grass will significantly enhance the condition, playability, and appearance of the tee boxes, fairways, and rough. It is important to note that after the golf course is planted, the improved conditions will take some time and patience. The new turf will need time to mature and build defenses that will make it stronger and more resilient over time. While we anticipate significant improvements in golf course conditions once the irrigation and grassing project is complete, The most notable improvement in conditions, playability, and appearance will come the following year and beyond. Our common grounds and soon-to-be facilities maintenance are being managed by Brian Serzo. Since Brian's arrival in August, the care and maintenance of our common grounds has improved dramatically. Brian will ultimately oversee our common ground staff and facilities maintenance staff to provide the consistency and oversight to areas that do require daily management now and in the future. With regard to Foxfire standing committees, the members who serve on the Foxfire standing committees must be recognized. The amount of time they spend in meetings, responding to emails, collaborating on the next workshop, health fair, blood drive, social event, golf tournament, budget cycle, small or major project, maintenance item, beautification initiative, document review and compliance, single home and neighborhood architectural standards policy, charitable effort, insurance review, website upgrade, and member communication make Foxfire a better community for everyone. On behalf of the entire Foxfire community, I thank all of you. As mentioned earlier, our financial status. At the end of fiscal year 2020, we finished $92,000 better than budget. Considering the effects COVID-19 had on our ability to operate for the last 2 months of the peak season, March and April 2020, and throughout our 5-month summer season, May through September 2020, I think it is safe to say that our department heads and their teams overachieved. Well done. Currently, and although our 2020-2021 budget was prepared with normal operations in mind, we are approximately $115,000 better than budget through the first 4 months of the fiscal year. Considering that revenues in the pro shop are down $24,000 year to date, and revenues in food and beverage are down $118,000 year to date, it's safe to say that all of our department heads and their teams are expertly controlling their expenses. Peeking around the corner, we anticipate some challenges in the foreseeable future, both short-term and long-term. First, property and casualty insurance premiums are expected to rise as much as 20% this coming year. We are working with our insurance committee and agent to secure the appropriate coverage at the best cost for Foxfire. Rate increases are being driven by the very active Atlantic hurricane season 2020, along with the collateral damage and enormous number of none other than Hurricane Irma claims that were recently settled. Federal minimum wage increases are another topic that we have to monitor closely and prepare for now. Otherwise, we're going to be a victim of the already tight Southwest Florida labor market, then have to increase payroll expenses in one big swoop. If we work toward that goal over the next 4 to 5 years, then we'll be able to attract, maintain, and retain quality employees while making modest adjustments to increased payroll expenses. I have to report on our workers' comp insurance. Our workers' comp premium for our 2012-2013 cycle was $128,000. Our workers' comp premium for 2020-21 cycle is $48,000. From 2012 through 2016, our average annual premium was $98,000. From 2017 through 2020, our average annual premium was $43,000. In addition, from 2014 through 2019, Foxfire received $46,000 in dividend checks as a result of our Safe Workplace initiatives developed and implemented by our safety committee and then executed by our entire staff. Since we changed insurance carriers last year as part of our new insurance program, the qualified dividend is paid as a monthly invoice discount. I'd like to read to you the introduction of why we qualify for this program and how it works. This is very small print, so pardon me. The Florida Dividend Plan 15 is offered to a limited group of Zenith policyholders who conduct their business in a manner that demonstrates an exemplary commitment to the prevention of workplace injuries. These policyholders are willing to work with their insurer to reduce their employees' exposure to hazardous conditions, to work with their insurer to manage the cost of claims, and to cooperate in all reasonable ways to establish and maintain a business relationship that will be profitable to both parties. To remain eligible for any declared dividend, in addition to requirements in the workers' compensation policy, the policy must be enforced for a 12-month period and all premiums must be paid at the time of valuation. The 15 dividend is a 15% flat dividend and will be calculated approximately 3 months after expiration of the policy to coincide with your audit. So again, that's something that our entire community should celebrate. With regard to our golf course and amenity master plan, work is already underway. It actually started on December 18th, the day after the members approved moving forward. Golf course contracts and agreements are executed and in place for the following professional services and vendors. GT Irrigation, who will be the company that installs all the new piping and heads. Rainbird, who will supply all the piping, heads, and equipment. Reagan Technical Solutions, who is our architect and engineer for the irrigation system and irrigation system designer. Hills Forest Smith, our golf course architects. James Harbuck, the gentleman who will be doing the final shaping of the improvements that were made. And then MJS Grassing, who will provide the turf that we'll be putting on the tees, greens, and roughs, which is Bimini. Our next steps for golf course irrigation and regrassing project, we will start killing the grass Thursday, February 18th, 2021. And just as a reminder, tee times will be limited that day. We'll be sending notifications as well, but we do have to close that golf course at noon 9 in the afternoon so we can get our initial herbicide down. Staging of equipment and materials at the satellite maintenance facility will be from March 15th to approximately March 25th. And then we plan to close at noon 9 on or around April 1st to start the project. It will not close any earlier than April 1st, but we may be able to keep it open for that last weekend. As far as our amenity contracts and agreements that are executed and in place for the following professional service and vendors: Davidson Engineering, who will do all the civil work; MHK Architects, who are the building designers and will do all the vertical work; then Emerge Design for our landscape needs, which is required to have site development plan amendment approval. The next steps for the amenity project: we'll finalize a site plan and prepare for the first SDPA submittal. We'll coordinate floor plans and layouts with the architects for the second SDPA submittal. We'll respond to all inquiries from Collier County throughout the process. We'll coordinate third-party vendors such as US Tennis, Universal Underground, Welch Tennis, who will contract directly with Foxfire to build bocce and the new tennis courts, along with some of the golf course renovations. We'll await final SDPA approval from Collier County, select a general contractor, and then submit for building permits. Just like COVID, I couldn't end this discussion without speaking about Zoom. Where would we be without Zoom? And for that matter, Foxfire's Kathy O'Brien for keeping us connected for the past several months. Kathy has coordinated, moderated, and produced most of our board meetings and all of our webinars since we started using Zoom as our meeting platform. Thank you for your efforts, expertise, and hard work that has made these meetings run so seamlessly. Thank you. In closing, I'd like to thank all members of Foxfire and our staff for working together, keeping the spirit, and fostering a positive culture that makes Foxfire a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you very much.
welcome Roger Saunders, our treasurer, and also chairman of the nominating committee.
Thank you, Bill. I'm not going to wear a treasurer's hat in this particular portion of it. I'm wearing the hat of the chair of the nominating committee. You've already heard great things from Phil Newman about the outstanding work that Pam Cannon and her team have followed through on to put us in a great financial position as we exit last year. Nominating committee. Based on Foxfire bylaws, a nominating committee was formed to assure an orderly coordination with candidates who would be seeking election in 2021. Our bylaws call for 2 board positions to be filled this year. 4 dedicated members of our community volunteered their time in October of last year to gather and support the needs of these candidates. I want to recognize and thank each of them for their service, for their thinking, and for their detailed efforts over these past months. Chad Callanan served as vice chair and was joined by Debbie Burkhead, Allie Gallagher, and Mike McGrone. All 4 of these Foxfire members did outstanding work, and every one of us here in Foxfire appreciate their hard work. 3 outstanding candidates have stepped forward to offer their services. They did so knowing that just 2 positions would be filled for this election cycle. Those candidates are Dr. Bill Cornetta, Ray Garrity, and Christine Zafraniak. Each of them understand that their valuable time will be needed over the next 3 years to assure sound governance. Supervisory and administrative practices are in place within the Foxfire community. Our membership believes in sound governance. It's critical to our operations. We thank these three candidates for stepping forward and offering their support to each and all of the 931 resident owners and Foxfire's 100 operations associates. Now, this morning, I think it's important that we call out another dedicated Foxfire member. John Houck has served on the Foxfire Board of Directors for the past 2 years. He's committed numerous hours of support and dedication of his thinking to a wide range of issues that impact our community. John was elected to a 3-year term in 2019, and he has now decided to step aside to get a break from board duties. Hence, we have 1 year left on his term. The term of that new director will be filled to a 1-year term by the decision of the new board that will be formulated. As I said, governance is important to our entire community. Foxfire's bylaw 4.4 states vacancies on the board. If the office of any director or directors becomes vacant for any reason, a majority of the remaining directors, though less than a quorum, shall promptly choose a successor or successors who shall hold office for the remainder of that term. Therefore, when votes are counted for this year's board election, the 2 highest vote counts will become board members. They will join the board in an organizational meeting that will take place next Monday, February 15th. Those 6 board members, the first order of business for them will be choosing a new director to fill that one year term. Now, we have 3 outstanding candidates who have stepped forward. Foxfire is very fortunate to have their leadership qualities within our community. As Sherry Straka, our secretary, has stated, we had 547 members vote in this election, well above the quorum requirement. We want to thank each of you for submitting your vote. and voting for good governance within our community. We'll begin the counting of ballots in the course of the next 30 minutes, and you'll be hearing from the board as to who the top 2 candidates are.
Roger, just to correct, it was 544, not 547.
Thank you, Sherry. Sherry mentions that it was 544 members voted in this election.
Thank you, Roger. Kathy, are there any members who wish to speak?
No.
So no members have expressed a desire to speak at the meeting. I'd like to close the meeting by expressing my thanks to my fellow board members. It's been a privilege to serve as president of the board and to work with them. We've had a vigorous debate at our board meetings, but I think we thoroughly respect one another and the sincerity of our points of view. I have the privilege also of attending the weekly staff meetings that Donald holds with his managers. And I want to assure members that I have learned just how dedicated they are to Foxfire and to the members and to serving members. We have a remarkable group of people who've been here for a long time. They thoroughly understand our community, the way it works, and are truly dedicated to members. So please, as you see these people, thank them for all they do for us. We have 18 or so standing committees staffed by members who spend an enormous amount of time working for the benefit of the community and advising us as to what to do and how to do it. So again, take the opportunity to thank these people for their selfless service to Foxfire. And if you are at all interested in joining this group, we welcome you. There's an application you can get at the administration office, fill it out, and there will be a place for you on one of these committees. You'll be surprised at how much hard work it is, but also how rewarding it is. And finally, I want to thank all of our members for their participation in what's happened over the last couple of years. We've had a pretty vigorous debate and a lot of exchange of ideas. And I think that's healthy for the community. Sometimes it's gotten a little heated, but for the most part, it's been civil. And so again, thank you for being interested enough to get involved in the discussion of what we are, what we want to be, and where we need to go. That being said, I think we'll recess the meeting to count the votes, and as soon as the final results are available, they will be posted on various venues. And with that, unless somebody else has anything further they'd like to say.
I would like to add my thanks to Sherry Straka. I'd like to add my thanks to Sherry Straka for her dedication to the board and for the 3 years that you were on. Thank you so much for your time and your service.
Indeed, thank you, Sherry. Well done. Okay, is there a motion to recess? Okay, seconded. So we'll recess and count the votes. And thank you to all of you who participated virtually.